So we're getting the SPAC presentation and an additional presentation. When the SPAC presentation?
That was last time.
No.
Oh, no, you're fine. There's two, apparently. Is Grandview coming?
I didn't hear from them, but I did extend the invitation. I know the last meeting, there was issues there. So we will do a quick recap as far as a couple weeks ago. We had SPAC Consulting here to give their initial presentation for their findings for the traffic study and for some initial ideas discussion for our group. And this presentation is on our website, public works page for everyone to get a copy if you'd like to see it. And then we had some discussion about if we wanted to follow up and have more brainstorming. We can provide more information to SPAC for them to consider as they put their final report together. So the point was to get together tonight and talk about if there were more ideas on the table so that we can get that information to them. From my discussion with Ryan after our meeting a couple weeks ago, he was grateful just to have that conversation and that back and forth that helps get into SPAC when they put that final information together.
Is he giving you an idea of when that will be?
He actually probably could have had it done if we weren't having another meeting. So I said, please hold on to that. And so I'm guessing hopefully in the next 10 days we'll have that back.
Because our next meeting is September 5th, I understand. Correct.
Yeah, so depending on when he can get us that report, it may make sense for us to meet or schedule a specific date for just this. Imagine this is a really different conversation once we get into really those priority items and what are we really looking to do. So the other items on the way to the public works committee will kind of go through that. But I was grateful that Craig reached out and let us know that you guys have some information to talk about tonight. So I wasn't quite sure if we just kind of have things out on the table. So I don't have anything presented. I just want to get the information and answer questions if I can. And hopefully go from there. If that works.
Yeah, so we met last night. We've been talking throughout the last few weeks since we got the SPAC review, both the PowerPoint presentation and then there was a lengthy memo that came out too, right? 2 documents. And I haven't gone through the whole memo, but a lot of our people on our committee have. So we have a couple bullet points per slide of different topics that we'll go through. And the gist of this is our opinion, not only from the committee members, but from what we got from the survey, from the people on the streets throughout the last couple months and the email traffic going back and forth. And again, it's topics, so there'll be some note taking. I think that would be helpful, Jenny, and we'll just say, hey, maybe make a note on that. Make sure SPAC puts maybe another eyeball on something like that. And we'll go through some slides. You want to say anything before we go through them?
Well, I was just wondering before we start the slides if we should give the answer to the condition question that we asked last time as to what's going on with the conditions.
Good idea.
Because Pete, I think that was 2 meetings ago, you said that we need to follow up on that.
Tom and Desmond and I, we've been working internally to kind of go through all of those details. There are a lot of details between the conditions and then their own traffic mitigation plan that they put together. The reality is getting Mark to sit down and spend some time and go through us with why things are the way they are is going to be a challenge for them. And for us too. It's just a reality. So we're hoping we can have that conversation as part of maybe the final presentation and we can look through some of those things. But it's definitely on the radar for our planning commission and for our public works committee. We just have to have that.
Have there been any physical inspections of the site? Has anybody been, Tom, have you been there? Jenny, have you been there? Has Desmond been there?
I go out there every week.
Tom does. From a sewer expansion perspective, yes, we did a whole set of inspections, approvals to that piece of it that we've done really well with that piece to help us out. And I know
one thing that I think that we have noticed that some of the new cottages have been occupied.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And by the documents that we have, technically they should never have been granted an occupancy permit. I mean, if these conditions have not been met. So that's where I don't I mean, they're clearly breaking the law on a lot of this stuff.
Because we don't enforce the building code, correct?
We don't have a building official, we don't enforce the building code, and we don't have an occupancy certificate, to the best of my knowledge.
For any and all development or home building, they're sort of on their honor to make sure that they meet the requirements and the state codes, and we don't have that in place.
Interesting because, I mean, technically, city council approved this, and, they're supposed to be representing the residents as well as Grandview, and we kind of leave it up to them to honor that. And, there's so much on here that
Could you give us an example?
has not been done.
There wasn't-
Well, there's 2 pages of things that city council voted on based on the recommendations of the planning commission that they needed to do before, it was conditional. The specific thing is what we talked about last month, and there's some roads were supposed to be paved, employee gates, the maintenance gates were closed, all that stuff, all the trucks, but, for all we know, none of this has been done either. So that's, it's a question that I do think city council's kind of responsible for all of this. So, and I don't think there should be anybody occupying those cottages if all the conditions have not been met.
That'll get him to a meeting quick, won't it?
So,
If we tell him he can't occupy the buildings, then he ought to come to the meeting pretty quick.
Yes, but
I think it's just how you, the city doesn't have an ordinance.
okay, excuse me.
We gotta keep one meeting here.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it within our city right here. Okay, let's keep it so everybody can hear.
Yes.
I don't disagree at all. Absolutely, it's a challenge. And they're not, Grandview's the only ones. It's keeping the conditions and keeping on top of all the status, of all of them. And it's like, how do you have a better system and process for that? It's very important to do that. And we've talked, definitely in comment often about how can we do that better and trying to make sure we close the loop on a lot of these. And, this process will also help to make sure that we're answering those questions too. So if we can have this going on, then we can be difficult to sort of corral this whole thing. So I think that's something. So, no, I appreciate the feedback.
How about this recommendation? Future meetings, we make it mandatory for someone from Grandview to be present. Someone who's got an ear and also some direction, whether it's Mark Ronnie or someone underneath them. I missed the last meeting, but don't think they were there. I'm not sure when there was a representation from Grandview, but I think
Missed the last 3, haven't they?
I think we're to the point that it's really important. We have some people here that are residents of the area, right? And they've been listening to us, and we've been doing the surveys, and I mentioned this the last meeting. We need to give something back to those people. There's a lot of construction going on. You're going to see some stuff that is maybe like a broken record of things that I've brought up going back as far as September and October. And you hopefully are starting to get to know my personality and my reaction and response time, what we expect, but it's what these people expect that represent the streets and are the taxpayers, right? And I don't need to get into this too heavy, but I just want to make a note, and whether we got to do it over there in the Gull Lake Haven, but they are affecting a lot of other people's lives, and they need to step up and be in attendance for what we're finding and discovering, and they got to listen. They need to listen. Otherwise, there's other ways to get them to listen, right? We don't need to go there.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, it's hard for us to make decisions if we don't know what they're thinking and where they're coming from. So,
Do you ever talk to them over there?
on the street, yeah, but we need to have them try. They need to come and be with us so they can hear what we're saying as well and what the city's saying. And it's just really important that somebody be there. It doesn't have to be Mark, but it has to be somebody that knows what's going on. So,
I think we're all in agreement that obviously we got to find a balance, right? Like I stated back in September to Mark Ronnie, their development to that resort, they can do, it's their property. They just need to find a balance to keep not so much the vacation and the summer residence type feeling and value like we've always had up here. I mean, we get it. There's going to be some changes. Okay, we get that. But what you're going to see on this slide is a lot of safety issues that are from today. And as we throw in, you know, again, I'll use my rough math number of 320 more cars, and then I try to figure out bicycles and all that. There's potential, and we're trying to tell you. I don't know where it goes next to the level to get the responsibility to absorb it and be accountable on it, but again, that's my 2 cents right now. Should we start?
Let's go forward.
Let's go to the first slide. Okay, first of all, this is what Grandview all grew up. A lot of us on the street remember it. Again, it's got to change. It changed, right? We get it. They're running a business to keep it going. So, next slide. So this is kind of stuff that we took from SPAC, from their study. And obviously, things haven't changed. The number one concern for a traffic location is the 77 and Nokomis entrance. And by no means are we MnDOT experts on how this can be handled. You know, the current assumption is that it's not safe. You know, the SPAC study of the roundabout, the turn lanes, the stoplights. I think the committee is in agreement that probably the roundabout is probably the most sensible, especially in the off season. But just do the homework on, you know, the trucks and the trailers from the boats and everything that also goes down that lane. Okay, and you know, we can come back and maybe make some comments if some of you in the audience want to do that. But you're totally open to that. So that's kind of where we're at. Again, SPAC, I think, from their handout is leaning towards roundabout with the green thumbs. So I guess the only thing here is, when does that start, or where does it go next? Who owns that? And when they are doing the construction, how do we still get in and out of Nokomis? You know,
It will be shut down.
so there's a question. If you want to just have a question for a note. Traffic. Again, it peaks. There's days when it's dead quiet and calm, and it's usually midweek, especially as we get into August. But it gets busy, and you know, how do you control the cars and the future bicycles and the current bicycles and pedestrians? This is a broken record from the other month we were here. It's signage. Okay, it's both for pedestrians, bicycles, auto, and you know, I think on the east and west Linden, you get a lot of confused guests. I stopped 52 cars over a 2-day period during the 4th of July week. 50 of them were guests, confused not where to go. I didn't even spend the whole day out there. Just kind of sat back in the chair, did my own little survey, but that's, you know, 97%, 96%. Let's give them better direction. And it also, and this is why I wish GVL was here, it starts from their website, it starts from their registration, it starts with what they give them in their car, and some places have only 2 cars per cabin, right? Again, I'm not a resort planning expert, but that's what I've seen, and I kind of expect it. The bicycle part of it, I'll get to the pedestrians last. The bicycle part of it, it's not really safe right now. When you start getting families over there, pedaling around on bikes, And I know that the future is going to have a tie-in to the Paul Bunyan Road for bicycles. Are any of you bicyclists? It gets busy, right? It brings it to Nisswa. I think it's a great idea. I think we all do. But bicyclists can come in packs of 20. If it's a destination area to come, down around the Twin Cities, Minnetonka area, there's like 60 of them at a time, all in Spanish. All right, and they are a whole different breed. They don't like cars, and they don't like cars. And they'll fly by people pretty fast and scare sometimes, excuse my language, the crap out of them. So just, are we putting proper parking in there for bicyclists? Are there going to be designated bicycle lanes? In high traffic areas, you walk way on the right, bicyclists are kind of in the middle, and the walkers are on the right and the left. Just think through that, that's all. Pedestrians, they walk all over right now, they don't know where to go. I get it. There could be some designated signs, and I think SPAC was onto it because they alluded to it in some of their slides. So I think that that needs to be done. We talked as a committee, are the signs Grandview theme? Are they City of Nisswa theme? We're kind of on board that anything that's on a public street through that area, and again, we're not the ones that maybe can push this, but we maybe got to have a sign vote. It should be the City of Nisswa. You're a resort community. A City of Nisswa theme signage, and then Grandview property can have their own. Maybe it's the same sign looking, just says Grandview or Nisswa on the bottom. Speed control. This is primarily for cars. I mean, the study was done by SPAC, number of cars. We're in favor of taking that to 35 miles an hour all day long. The current little slowdown sign hasn't been working for about, I think since SPAC left. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Going west.
Going west. There's been some hits in that area because of speed. There's been some close calls. I see close calls. Again, it goes up to that Highway 77 Nokomis entrance. I think if we could get it down to 35 and then blend it to 50 if you want once you get past Roy Lake Road, I don't think anyone's going to have any heartburn over that.
Where would you start at 35?
You start right at Sportman.
371.
Right at Sportman Corners. Nokomis, and then, I should have put East and West Linden on here. 30 miles an hour is dangerous, so I think 20 on that. Again, parking locations, this is kind of for guests, but it's also for, there's an area down there that's designated, not, what do you call a landing, what's on the other side? Public access. The signs aren't there, but there used to be parking there. If that's still a City of Nisswa easement, and it should be a public access on paper, please put the signs back.
There is a sign there. For
Yeah, but they
public
removed the one from the east side.
They do one on
They
the
just moved it.
Is that controlled by us or DNR?
city. I called the DNR years ago and they said it was the city.
There's no available parking.
No.
What?
Wow.
And you couldn't possibly put a boat in there.
So that's,
It's not a boat landing. Easement.
Access
It's
to
an
the lake.
access, it's not an improved access.
we can
It's
table
a
that.
walkthrough thing.
We can table that one, but just the message here is there's not enough parking and the guests don't know where to park. And it's not the guests' fault,
It's Grandview's fault.
But I don't remember them telling us what they're.
We have the 800-pound gorilla and they're not here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why we're having
Yeah.
this meeting.
So we can call this maybe just a trial run for the next one. Go to then the impervious concerns. I'm no impervious expert, but there's a lot of asphalt going around that new development. And if they're going to really want to make it a state-of-the-art resort, designated parking, it sounds probably going to need to be asphalt, just so we're watching the impervious. Because we do have water puddling issues today, more than what we've had in the past. And some of the year-round locals attribute it to like some of the new Nokomis driveways, shooting it out onto Nokomis and bringing it down. We can go to the next slide. Unless there's any questions on this.
The only thing I want to add about the pedestrians is that one of the things that SPAC had set forth was connecting all the sidewalks. And I think we as a committee agree that that would be a really good thing. Because some of those sidewalks don't connect to anything else. And so that's why people they're just shooting out onto the streets any old way, you know. And so that would entail possibly, you know, putting sidewalks on both sides. They might have to get rid of some things that are right up to the edge of the road, widening sidewalks, and then having much better signage and some kind of enforcement by Grandview employees, just saying, hey, you know, instead of just by Craig and you know, us stopping people and saying, you know, your baby might get hit by a car if you don't, you know, use the sidewalk. So that was just my other comment about that.
I had one more comment on that one. I took a look today, and where the old Gardner clubhouse was, now there's just a little bike ship there. There's a walkway going right straight down the middle. Paved walkway going right straight down the middle.
Okay, the tent, what used to be the tent?
Yeah, right alongside, yeah, between the tennis courts now to just west of the current tennis court. And it doesn't seem to be used.
Nobody takes it.
Yeah, and everybody's walking down the road and they better go this way.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of plan about how to properly get that flow going.
Especially once next year, the rec center and the motel are open.
Answer my question. I read through, I don't know why, I went too fast in this back and forth. I saw nothing about the future one. I saw everything about the current one. All of their stuff is how much traffic we have now. And yet, the real issue is going to be when you add 300 cars.
Right.
And all those people. So SPAC is not telling us anything about what we need to do in the future. That's a problem.
Well, they tried to extrapolate, Dale,
Yes.
that there'd be a 3% growth on 77, on 77, each year to 2025.
That's without any.
And there's been a 3% growth previous 7 years. You start doing the numbers. And a lot of it's coming down in the Gulf.
And I think part of that, maybe the number piece of it will come in the final report. This was more to provide visuals,
This is the
provide
base,
ideas.
the baseline.
To talk about where things are at. So, but it's a good observation to make sure that that's part of that.
Speaking of the visuals, those pictures they provided in that report, I found completely useless because they weren't this area. They were like European cities or Boston or something. And I'm like, how does this relate to Grandview and where things are situated?
I would say, they did a wonderful presentation. Like I said, it was the first one. They explained all that stuff.
Well, that would be nice, but we weren't here, and
Well,
we may
yeah,
not have
because-
known about it. So,
So, I mean, I'm just
you know,
saying that.
I'm one of the people that read it that didn't understand
yeah.
that. So, and
Yeah,
I'm
it was-
sure
it
there are
was
a lot of
harder-
others.
It was harder to understand if you weren't here, but I think they were using those as examples of here's what a sidewalk, a shared space would be, which
Okay.
is nothing like what we would want, you know. But I
And
think
again, it's still
yeah.
preliminary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
We
preliminary.
still do
Yeah.
not have the final.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear from Tom and John from a city standpoint. I mean, do you buy into something like shared?
What's that?
Do you buy into something like shared or one-way? One-way roads and shared
Well,
space?
because of the width of it, one-way solves a lot of problems.
Can I just read
I mean, it's
something?
an alternative, you know, you gotta look at all
Yeah, and
the
I did
possibilities.
send that to,
You know, you
Okay.
can't
We
just
send
dismiss
all that
it
stuff.
immediately without.
That gets back to what I just spoke about, you know, with the sidewalk. They're not using the center of the resort, but there's a perfectly good walkway. And now you got, it wouldn't be such an issue.
right.
Well,
And that's,
I would say this, even the Paul Bunyan Trail we have right here, you'd be amazed how many walkers, bicyclers still use Lower Cullen Road. And, I mean, how much better can you make it than Paul
Yeah.
Bunyan Trail? And there's just a certain percentage of refuse to use it. And there is no law that I think that Craig can enforce that says you have to be on Paul Bunyan Trail when you're walking or you're bicycling. It's still a public street. Public can use it with any mode of transportation that they're at risk. You know, I wouldn't want to be pedestrian on like 371, but you see it all the time.
I mean, the other,
But Grandview is not giving or sacrificing anything for these roads. And, you know, if they want to, if you guys are talking, it's back to talking about making Woodward a one-way.
That's just one
Okay, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, if they widen Woodward into a boulevard size, where there will be enough room for cars to go both ways and pedestrians, that might take a little bit of Grandview's land, but Grandview is the one who is causing this problem, so they should probably be willing to do that, to kind of make everybody happy.
And maybe they are.
Maybe they are, we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They haven't met with us
but we
yet.
wouldn't know that.
Yeah,
We're just
so-
tossing out ideas right now. So.
Yeah, okay.
And the committee, we have our opinions about what, and, you know, some of those are not what we want either. So it's, I think the neighbors seem to be on board with the committee, basically.
there's
So
more pages.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
So we can, you know,
Good.
we can move on with that and,
And I will just, maybe for your benefit or for others, I'll put that recording on the website so you can listen to their presentation.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because then that
Yeah.
will give you some perspective. That's why I would get that max up here so that he could get captured on the,
Perfect.
on the thing. This didn't really facilitate the,
yeah.
the actual.
Great.
You have to switch.
Okay, all right, let's.
Okay,
great.
slide 2, this kind of goes back to what we've gone through, is the custom model cottages is what I call them. I'm not sure what the official name is for them, but back in the original, you know, September, October meetings, these were going to be custom homes that would be very similar, I think, to the other property management programs they have, where someone owns them and then they rent them out certain times, right? And it bounce around from 24 to 26. I think it's 26. A couple questions is just, you know, we can dig into the public information, I guess, with the county, with the ownership status. You know, that part would be nice to have an update. Again, Grandview's not here, so this is tough, but these are directed towards Grandview. Occupancy capacity per unit, you know, the parking capacity in the area. They're triplex layouts. They're in a renting system right now. I've witnessed it, and I've talked to people myself a few weeks ago. I wouldn't mind taking a look at one just to understand it. I think it's pretty much what I stated back in October. It's similar to the other ones where they can divide it into 3 separate units, and it can be rented out to 3 separate people. Again, it's their business. They're going to make money. If it is a single owner that owns it now, and he hustled to get it ready so he could start making money while it's still in an area where he can rent versus the winter, I get it. I think we just need an update on that. And then it goes back to really, I think it's this gentleman here that mentioned occupancy. And today, they know their occupancy. What's it going to be in the future when we add the hotel and the 26 cottages? And there's this large group, and I don't even know how big it is because I've never been able to be a member of it, but off-site membership program. You pay $1,500 to $1,800, and you get wristbands for your family, and you get to play golf, you get to use a pool, eat the food at 15% off, and the drinks, and they come from all over the lake and the community. How many is it? I don't know. I think as you're looking at the future of people coming into this and the growth, if I was overseeing it as a community leader, I'd want to know. Just like I'd want to know if there was a factory that came in that was going to have, and I hate to even use the analogy of hazardous waste, but had a factory coming in with something else, you want to know what's being used there. Again, it all ties to safety. And if you're going to do road planning, if you're going to spend money on road planning in the future, those people are going to ask the same question. And then the bicycle and pedestrian walkways, it's kind of what we already hashed through. But there's there's maybe some opportunity for lights. You know, at night, that's part of the reason that the people don't know where to walk because it's dark. And I think they used to have some lights there, but they don't always work. So any questions on this slide by anybody or comments?
I think I can add just a couple of things as far as the garden cottages. To the best of Tom and I know, they are the 21.
That sounds right.
I think there's 21 of them. They're, and you might know some of them. They may, I believe, they're pretty much all spoken for. Whether they have signed on the dotted line to actually exchange the purchase. I think they're all in discussions right now. So they have moved much faster than Granby was expecting a few years for that to take place. And I believe we issued permits for 10 of them. So they are moving on, over half of them now. I believe I think they're a few more permits.
You know,
The end of
a
the-
building permit.
Building permit, yes, for that to keep going through the winter. So yes, as far as that goes.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience want to comment?
Want to ask about sewer connections, this triplex. As I understand, originally it wasn't triplex.
Each year the design is a little different. Some are triplex, some are two biplex, some are, for example, unit 179 on the Cole, it's just that big. So it depends on, so not all of them are cookie cutter the same. Some of them on the Cole are like 4 separate units, but they share a competition. That's how one is built. Another one is 4 separate units, but you have access all together, so all 4 of you want your own place, like 4 couples, type of thing. But you want to be together, that's all one of them. So, that's
Just asking whether you have the correct number of toilets.
yes, you have the correct number of your ERCs.
DRCs is not the same as toilets.
Well, what the city concerned with, if I'm not mistaken, was the overall flow plus their own meter. Correct?
They are not,
They're not, okay, what was the meter?
the larger buildings like conference center.
Okay.
So what is an ERC
Equivalent residential connection.
and what does that stand for?
A typical home is considered one ERC.
With how many toilets?
It's not specific to the number of toilets or fixtures.
Or square feet?
In the city of Nesswa,
Or square feet, it doesn't matter how
it
many
doesn't
square feet.
matter. Mr. Anderson pays the same as somebody on Church Street. Where it becomes multiples, it's going to be either commercial real estate or guest homes. Then it goes up. So if you have, say, guest quarters above garage, then it becomes 1.5 ERCs.
And how are these not guest quarters?
It was set up 20 years ago. I don't know why it was set up that way.
Because the owners can only occupy it 41 days out of the year or something like that.
What's that?
The owners of these cottages may only occupy them 41
I think
days.
that's part of why they didn't try to narrow it down. Because obviously a home that size is greater capacity to have water and sewer on Church Street. However, one on Church Street is probably occupied year round.
So is Grandview.
But not every unit.
Huh?
But not every unit is granted, sorry.
Right.
Right. The other thing you gotta look at
But
too.
there's some high density in some of those units
The other,
when they are occupied.
I just feel like the same standards for ERCs were not applied to Grandview as are applied to the rest of us, many of whom aren't even here for 7 months out of the year. It just seems that way to me.
an ERC is based more on potential, what you could add, than what you are adding. We don't meter. Most cities have a city water system. You have a water meter for water coming in and your sewer bill based on that. The city is unique, it doesn't have that. So, the ERC is basically a share of the treatment system.
Let's see, explain how many ERCs were used
Well,
overall from Grandview on this whole project? Was it like 50 or something?
one per building, one of each cottage.
Okay.
Now, you might think, okay, if you have 3 families in the buck, you don't have a long, and they're typically not
Right.
cooking all the meals there.
But wasn't there a concern that in the very beginning that a lot of the remaining ERCs were going to get used up? But we're not towards that anymore, right?
What happened with the hotel?
Because that would have been a bad deal, because then we kind of put in a new big holding pond, which would have cost more money.
Right, but how
But
many
they
did the hotel
figured it out. They've
Hotel
figured it
is-
out.
It's 30.
30 for 60 rooms.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the calculation, how that works. And
It's based on,
they're on a payment plan for that. And then we have a true up after, 1 year after they're open, to actually say we made what's the action. So,
hotel and the rec center are metered. So that will be accurate.
Oh, they are metered out
But the larger buildings are.
on the outbound?
No, no, the water that they bring in, so we need the sewer truck, you can't accurately meter sewage because of
So you're metering their wells,
the water going in.
the wells they own, or private wells.
And the half unit, I questioned that too. And that's part of the reason I joined the Public Works Committee. But help me out, Tom, every motel in Baxter is rated at a half ERC per room.
We use Met Council's study information, if you will, to start our ERC system. Obviously, the city this size doesn't have the resources to employ a study that way. So our starting point is always the Met Council's estimate.
And their motel estimate is
Half
half an ERC.
So if I'm not here 7 months out of the year, I should only have to pay half an ERC for our new place that we just built this
No,
summer.
no.
No?
You pay year round.
Oh, see, that's the problem. It just is so confusing.
Yeah.
It is.
It's, wherever you are in the winter, there's planning and zoning. I would encourage you to go visit.
Go use your toilet too.
I'm going to go home and just flush my toilet.
To some extent, it's the same across America.
Feel free.
Yeah.
Jenny, a question, just again, if we can get Grandview doing that, back to the occupancy and stuff. The question is, how many, how these cottages were designed. And Mark, the way he really sold a lot of this to a lot of people was that, they're trying to get the corporate, increase the corporate side of it. And these houses were going to be designed that were going to be more for corporate use instead of personal homes. It was supposed to be only, not a bunch of twin beds, queen beds or whatever. So these things are huge. So so the total number of occupancy, that is kind of what
Because that's going to affect traffic, which is our original.
So are they really
The
looking?
reason for this
reason
meeting.
to be.
Yeah.
So-
And I do know that corporate groups do rent units like this already, for outdoors, just like your family together, your
Right.
say you're having a similar thing, but I do agree.
Yeah, is it going to be 4 guys in there, or is it going to be a family of 12? With a lot of different cars.
It's
That's-
probably going to vary.
Yes, it is.
Right.
So if we just whether SPAC received that information when they were kind of working on
Yeah.
it.
Right. That's the point of that.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm throwing in some pictures. These were actually, one was taken from the local area, but I'll be honest, the bottom one wasn't.
That looks like Grandview Beach, yeah, right there.
This is, it's concerns of the future, and both current and future, and if SPAC was here, this is kind of what we kind of say. We do currently still have sewer smell. I know you guys are aware of it, you're working on it. We have a concern that we haven't had any GVL people present, and we're just curious, are you meeting with them one-on-one, and is what we're bringing to you getting delivered to them? If you need our help, we will help deliver the message. Okay?
Well, let them finish it. Let them answer.
Are
No.
they?
Are you meeting with them?
We have not yet. We have not yet.
And they
mean,
must be
because it
meeting
should
with
be, because
SPAC,
you have an
don't
open
they?
meeting law.
No?
No,
Okay. Because I just think that's super important that everybody meet together. I really do. So if you can convince them, or otherwise we can,
but we will certainly get to a point here where we're actually trying to work out, right, what this future looks like. And that will be, extremely important for them to be here. If they're not,
I mean, they may agree with everything we say, but they may not. So we need to know that so that we know which,
The next bullet point up there, that's a tough one to put up, right? Conflict of interest with City of Nisswa leadership. You can read it multiple ways and build some angst towards me, right? I tell you what, it's stuff that we've been talking about since September, and we're not seeing, maybe not the reaction time with something physical put up as a sign, but we're not seeing communication coming back to the residents. And the difficult problem is that these residents are only here for this small 3-month window. And that small 3-month window is when the traffic and the occupancy gets crazy from everywhere. Do we have a concern that some members work at Grandview? Like John? I hope you balance that. I think you do. I don't know you well enough, but I think you have to.
I can even answer the other question. The last time I had a conversation with Mark about this, I told him why the trails need to be connected. Twice over the past week, we connected. We need to take away to take people off the road. And I'll be honest with all of you right now. What I'm here to do is what's in the best interest of the city. Not Grandview, not individual, but the best overall interest of the city.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that we can change, but in response to the quickness of things, understand that none of these roads right now, as we speak, are even on the horizon to be raised, redone by the city. They're not on our scale, are they? The next 5 years, we've got our road plan, and then after that, the next 5 years on, we're going to lay the whole other side of the road. But these roads that we're talking about are not in the worst shape, condition-wise, surface-wise, as others. So that's where we have to put our money right now. So I would rather take the time to get it right, and not just with what you folks want to have down there, but get Grandview here so they understand what you folks want to have down there, so that we realize. I talked to Tom and Jenny about the signage stuff, of what we can do with signage and what we can't do with signage. The 15-mile-an-hour speed limits would be illegal and unenforceable. They are.
I believe you.
State law, you have to have a certain process to go through the law in order to have folks to speed. So it's, and even at that, 35 miles an hour on 77, it's a special process for residencies there. You can't necessarily limit the speed limit unless there's a residence on both sides of the roadway. So you're probably going to have under a 48 factor in late 80s. Probably. A lot of difference on that road.
Yeah.
So, no, my concern, one of the reasons that I wanted to, from a city standpoint, wanted to head up is because I have no horse in the race. I can't vote at the county on what you or they want. So, the other 4 can. I'll be abstaining. So, what do you want? The other thing that we have in this community, we've had for a number ever since I can remember, we've had a disconnect between city council, the people that work for the city in this law, and the public. And if I'm going to build a road, we're going to have this have to do, say, Plan B, then you at least deserve to know an absolute why. And by including everybody in the whole conversation like we're doing right now, there might be something that we overlook or we don't know about. So, okay, maybe we can do Plan A, maybe we can't, but at least if it can't happen the way that you want it as a citizen in your area, then you'll know why from the beginning. Transparency, there's been transparency. Anyone that's ever asked me a question of what I think, I'll be happy to tell you. I really don't care if people like my opinion or not. That's their problem. If they ask me for it, they get it. What they do with it is completely up to them. But I'm also willing to listen, and I'm willing to say, hey, what do you want? It's your road. I don't live long. But if this was happening in my neighborhood in town, I would hope that I would be included as part of the report.
I appreciate that. It also is to not put you in a bad spot, right? That statement, conflict of interest. I want us to be the one that delivers these concerns of the people of East and West Linden to the Public Works and to Grandview.
I was top 30 years being in that spot.
Okay. The next topic, lake traffic. I know this isn't on land, but we need direction on this. It's a concern currently, and it's gotten a lot worse this year versus last year. Last year was worse versus the previous year. And as Grandview expands and becomes more of a entertainment during the daytime for boaters with the restaurants and the bars, there's rental boat traffic, there's pontoons, there's more watercraft this year. There's watercraft that gets towed across from the boat landing, one boat pulling 3 or 4 at a time, that I've been monitoring unintentionally during the summer because I water ski. But it took me a while to figure out who was running the operation, and then bringing them back during the end of the day, which again, it's public waters, but it's before the legal hour of 9:30 in the morning, and it's after the legal hour of 1 hour in the evening before sunset. And the only reason why I know that law is because I live and breathe the industry of power sports. You know who the individual is, okay? He squats on the beach like Grandview's Cancun, Mexico, and rents watercraft. And if that's what we can do, if we can do that in the future,
Do you have to have a permit to do that?
it's your mayor. It's your mayor. That's his business truck right up there. And I guess what I'm throwing it out as is a current concern and a future concern with more traffic. Think about that, because parasailers love to rent and get money during the daytime. My kids joke about it now and want to go and buy a bunch of crazy t-shirts real cheap and go down there with a pontoon that looks like a little tiki hut and sell t-shirts on the beach to the guests. You know, we call it living off the land. We're joking. We don't want it to go there. Just be aware of it. I don't like the idea, and really that conflict of interest is directed towards that individual. Your mayor. I didn't like his comment to me on the water. My mayor, our mayor.
One of the things that with the water regulation stuff is DNR. Okay. Now, we had a similar situation come up last summer on Lake Hubert with aircraft doing flashing boats and stuff. And the only thing, when they're in the air, they're regulated by
it's safety because
If you want everybody up and down the beach to start their own parasailing, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
But for this, I mean, this is all sort of public landing. I mean, this is all part of the plan that was approved. I mean, Grandview was given the permission to do all this stuff, so it's kind of like, so who's, I mean,
Well,
we're just saying that obviously Grandview, again, part of the conversation, they just need to let us know what their plans are. Are they ever gonna put buoys out to mark off like maybe a better swimming area? I mean, it's just,
there's swimming area you can see.
it's,
I think it's the paddle boarders and the kayakers that drift way out.
are all
You've
those
seen
paddle
it.
boards
They're way
registered?
out there. And then you got
They get stopped all the
inexperienced
time, you know,
rental
for
watercraft
not having
people.
registration stickers.
And it's also
Grandview have theirs?
150 feet law from a stationary dock or shore or a non-motorized floating paddleboard or kayak that a jet ski has to stay at that or farther up. And that's not being, pardon me? Yeah, right, any watercraft, correct. And it's not happening, we're seeing it. Have a few beers, go rent a jet ski.
And, yeah, that's actually a Crow County, Cass County, well, in our case, in this case of where we're talking, it's the Crow County Sheriff Department and
We're just looking for direction.
Do you want a little reinforcement? I don't know if any of you read the Minneapolis paper today. Back page of the sports section.
Give us a clue.
No, it was naked jet skiers on a steamboat. My dealer sent that to me.
On where?
Steamboat Bay on golf.
Oh,
The south end.
I love it.
And not only were they naked, they were
So,
blue thing. I mean, you know, that kind of behavior.
so the,
It's hard to, not yet.
You have to talk to somebody else. I
So-
can't see that far anymore.
all right, Tom, I'm gonna finish this and then you'll open it up. So the other concerns there is just kind of we talked about the auto versus pedestrian bicycle safety. It's kind of a heartburn one, the water safety. Noise pollution, that's kind of directed toward the construction that's been starting before 7 and going longer past 8 o'clock. I don't know if there's a city regulation on that, but the resident owners don't like that all summer long. We'll throw it up again. If Mark Ronnie was here, the question I asked him a few months
They
ago.
start between 6:30 and 6:45. And the beeping is,
I think we got it. We should be able to enforce that, shouldn't we?
Well, that's a
Well, if
regular
it's just a
city
regular
ordinance, no
ordinance,
matter
then
where.
it doesn't matter.
The Grandview separate entrance, I don't see why they would not want that. State-of-the-art resort, not having to deal with residents, they can do all their signage. And I know SPAC, I didn't see it in the SPAC, but
they didn't really consider it.
They did,
We would like to put it back on the table.
that's what they said. We asked them, did you consider that? I can probably remember that at the very end. And they said, we did not delve into that.
Maintenance road or a separate?
separate.
Separate road for
For
Grandview,
Grandview, not for us.
not for the residents.
What, off of 77?
Yeah,
It-
I'm guessing they do
because the county,
because of
they don't want, yeah.
difficulty, but we'll.
But they don't rule it out.
I mean,
They just need to we just want them to investigate it.
It seems like they're happy to have all of us go out a different entrance or in a different entrance, but not their guests.
Yes.
And quite honestly, the neighborhood is not interested in going through any employee entrance or any other entrance. That's one of the main things I've heard. We don't want it.
So,
And I think SPAC
here's
knows
just an
that.
idea on this.
Yeah.
If you want to just make a quick note, and I don't have the schooling like you do, but I realize that where they're coming in right now for the construction entrance, the visibility from here to here shuts down, and then, I don't know, it's a pretty good straight line here, but visibility, right? So, do you clear trees?
Well, it has
Who
to
owns
be-
the land by the trees?
Having major access on curves is a big problem.
one? Because this is smoking hot, this one. You come in Grandview, if they own some of this property where there's this road already, and I realize there's a whole bunch of crap under that asphalt, probably sewer, water, fiber optics, I don't know. This turns into your new 77 going here. This exits off to a Nokomis entrance and then a main entrance going into Grandview.
My question back to you would be now on the homes, both sides, and you got a cabin.
They still use it. I would think. They have to. They want to, right? It's there. And they do their big old Taj Mahal entrance here with their archway and well into the 120th anniversary. It's Christmas time. All year long.
Yeah, no, I just trying to figure out the logistics of it, how
It's a county road, first of all.
Yeah, that's there.
I just see what happened up to Pequot. I see what happens in other part of the states because I drive a lot for a living. There's roads being cut through stuff all the time. I know it costs money. I get that. Where I'm going with this is not 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. And Madden's has their own. Craigans has their own. Breezy kind of has their own. And when you get into other different resort communities across the country, they all kind of have this that I see.
If the speed limit were 35 instead of 55, much less than a problem.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm not a resident, but I just would like to know, why would residents on the western want to go through the Comus, Woodland, Forest Ave? Wouldn't you rather have a resident here off 77 somewhere? I don't know.
No, and the reason is, we're halfway up that western road. Everybody's walking out there with kids, dogs. You don't want a bunch of traffic going up that way and going out. It's a dead end, and a dead end is a different.
Right, so I think you're not understanding what I'm
No.
asking.
It's a little piece of heaven, quiet, away from all the Grandview stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
cars kind of there, but it just keeps us separate because no matter what kind of entrance you put in there, Grandview and other residents are going to start using. I mean,
If this was
Grandview will start
Walmart
using it.
prior going to the west,
But why would we want to have to go through the Grandview maintenance
Have you been through that maintenance area?
and look and drive
I
that
agree
way?
with you, but I think what we've talked about is that, some sort of separate connection is made here, or this gets moved in some way, so you have a.
But we'd still go up the
Tom,
service
that's not
road, is that
gonna
what you're
move.
saying?
But we
You're going to move it closer to those garden cottages?
Well, the exact location, I guess, isn't important. I understand you want to snake through their maintenance area, so somehow.
They're moving their
One
maintenance
side or
area.
the other.
They're
But
expanding their maintenance.
off of 77, we would still have to go through
Will end up being, they're adding on.
employee housing
End up being.
and deal with all of your beverage trucks and food delivery and whatever.
Well, and
It doesn't help us
But
at
it's a
all.
66-foot right-of-way as opposed to this, in some places only 50, you'd have a wider, safer road that doesn't have pedestrian traffic, and you wouldn't necessarily have.
They're moving, yeah, they're moving maintenance up here, they're moving employee housing here. And have you ever driven through their maintenance area?
Yeah, I do several times.
And you don't think it's like a trash heap?
Oh, I think this is terrible, but that's
You don't think that
beside.
that's what this will turn
I thought we
into?
were talking about with the safety thing again. So if we want to, I think we need to kind of compartmentalize our discussion because we can't ever get to any kind of
Okay.
conclusion if we don't. What I'm hearing is you don't like traffic from the resort coming down here. Well, somehow, we can't not allow Grandview to use the Comus for its movement because they're on both sides. And so, you folks here, what I'm asking is why, if it's 77, why do you want to go through this if you could just come out here a different way? Why, it's not congested, there's nothing here.
But it will be. service area there and all the service for the free travel.
But it's also 66 foot inch
Just human
wide
nature.
road to the street,
Well, I
as opposed to these 490 right here.
Oh, this side, it'll still be out the same way.
Congestion to get
Would you
to
want
the
the
Up in the
intersection.
closest.
out through a industrial area through to get to your house?
No, that's,
Is that,
this is
right now I
towards
drive
West
down a
Lake.
beautiful residential street, I can see the
Well,
lake.
this would be paved, obviously.
Great, great. They're still gonna have the service area that is gonna be trash. It always is, it always has been.
If
Call this
you
activity.
own property, if you own property down there, and you knew that if you ever wanted to sell that property, the people looking at your property would have to drive through the servants' entrance and employee housing and maintenance.
And I think
Your
the question
property
is,
value would drop.
the question is options, right? I don't think
Right.
we're looking at saying you cannot move this way anymore.
Right.
I think it's, from a public safety lens, if there's something happening at that end, and there's something going on in the resort, what's the fastest way, what's the best way to get someone down to that area? So it's just options, I think, is what we're trying to look at. And
I don't think speed is the issue. I'm saying the fastest way. We like it that way, it's a very attractive way. Even if it's traffic, that's been better than going to the maintenance area. Now, the amount of traffic that you saw that was residents was what, 2 out of 50 down that street?
no, 50 out of 52.
50 out of 52.
Yeah.
No, those were guests.
Those were,
Yeah.
those were brand new guests. 50
Yeah,
out of 52.
and I think we can fix a lot of that with just better signage, I think,
Right,
personally.
but it's Grandview that is causing that problem, and Grandview that is going to increase that problem. So it makes sense that Grandview should not force us to bite the bullet that we didn't create. And Grandview should consider things like pushing that right away on Woodward. They should. And that would allow traffic, or the extra entrance would allow the traffic to not go down the Coles and go in the other way.
I guess I look at it this way, like last weekend, you had the, anybody goes to Brainerd, usually goes a different way down 371. So we don't force BIR to make 371 4 lanes there in each direction.
That's
But
once
that's one
a year.
weekend.
It is, I
Yeah,
know
once
it's a
again.
hard
Couple
example,
times.
I guess, I'm trying to find ways to improve this.
And I say a word, I'm not on the committee, but I want to answer your question. Sure. You said, why wouldn't you? I got involved in this last year. First of all, I'm Rod Thole. My family owns 3 properties on Dutchman's Bluff and Linden. We're very concerned. I got involved last year and had communication with the mayor because I heard they were going to lengthen that road right into my property. And I communicated to him and wrote him a long letter, and I believe some of your committee members have seen that letter, about what was going on. I said, I'm very angry because Grandview Resort is building this big resort, and they haven't thought about the planning problems, and I do not want my West Linden, Dutchman's Bluff neighborhood to be changed. Because what they're suggesting is they're going to change if that road came through. And I know it's not on the table, but the reason I'm talking about is it's still on Mark Ronnie's future development maps that he showed in this room last year. And because of the outburst of our residents, we've never seen it again. But let me just finish. So there was a discussion of connecting here. All right, we talked about that last year, and we talked loud about it, and it has quieted down. There is no discussion about doing this. Now, well, first of all, if they had done this, they would ruin our security in Westland and Dutchman's Bluff. Right now, Grandview is our security blanket. Nobody's going to break into our homes up there knowing there are cameras in Grandview and that every vehicle goes in and out is on a video. They are also screwing up with the character of the neighborhood. Snowmobilers and everything else was coming this way. And to Mr. Goody's point, they're screwing with the value of our properties. There is a house right now on West Linden on the market for $2.7 million. There's a house up on the bluff for $1.5 million. There are people who have invested substantial money in these homes all the way up the hill on Dutchman's Bluff. I agree, we should not be the ones who pay the price on the value of our homes. Now, I suggested to Dawn, who's my neighbor and member of the committee, I said, if Grandview Resort, first of all, we talked about this last year, and what do I see? I see that they're doing all this work, all this construction, and they haven't addressed the road size problems. They've let it go, and they're going to back us in a corner. Now they want us to go the service road, which is ugly as sin, terrible, coming in this way. They're going to just try to push us in a corner where eventually that is the only option. And then West Linden, the whole character of the neighborhood would change. So I said to Dawn, I said, talk to the committee about your idea. If Grandview's going to spend all this money to do this, ignore our only entry, then by God, build us a nice entry to 77 that's attractive with trees and landscaping, that when I have a guest come to my home, I can be proud they come into my neighborhood. Now, nobody has talked about this, and I'm amazed. This gentleman works for Grandview, but the meetings I've gone to, Grandview's never there. They don't care. So I'm putting out my frustrations for my family that owns 3 properties at that wonderful dead-end road that we want to stay a dead-end road. But I think we're very slowly being pushed into a situation where they're going to say, well, if you people don't want to go out this way, and you don't want to go out this way, well, then you've got to go out this way. And I'm saying it now to you because I don't want that to happen. And my neighbors don't want it to happen. So it's a meeting here about a road. We're talking about boats and all that, fine, but we still haven't fixed the road problem. And I think this committee, the city council, the planning board, whoever, should demand of these guys, stop building and fix the road problem. Sorry for my passion, people, but I don't want to end up getting screwed 3 or 4 years from now and my property value plummets. And you can't say that I shouldn't feel that way. Thank you for your time.
On the road problem is the city's problem. It's all of our problems. Citizens, it's taxpayers' problem. To liken it to the old neighborhood that I lived on, elderly, that was cabins and now it's all there. Both year-round, you take off some for a month or 2 in the winter, some for more, whatever. But that road right from Third Road, that was the same thing, dead end and everything, to paved and 6 feet wide, it's like, what the heck? end up right back where we're at, with 50-foot easement. There are road improvements that need to happen down on your end and all east and west both. I was down there with the water after that last big rainstorm. It's ridiculous. And that's just age. That means that the road bed has to come up 2 inches, 6, 8 inches or so. I've talked with our city engineer about it. We got to figure a way to drain water off of that road so that it doesn't come into your properties, but we can get rid of it. And, you know, so it's going to be some work when we get to that point. But what I want are just, what I would like to see is every option thrown out there and then throw the ones out that just aren't going to fly.
Two comments, John. What they have done now with the plan to move the employee housing, and someone said earlier, the maintenance area here, is that what someone said?
Yes.
Okay, you foreclosed the possibility of this ever being a residential entry into West Linden, because these become eyesores.
If they do.
If they do it, right, but I'm just saying, well, I understood they were going to, but if they aren't.
They have to
Historically,
sell the
you have
property
to.
before they can do it yet.
They've already made.
Now, I'm only going to say this from an employee
Employee housing
standpoint.
they can do.
What they say they're going to do, when they actually come through doing it, and how it actually ends up looking, tend to be about 6 different things. I'm just saying, I would say to Mark Ron and to Tom, the CEO, and to the board, okay, you want to say, well, why can't West Linden people go out that way? Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, fine, fair question. Why can't I say to you then, why can't you give that road to the West Linden people, not do your building up there, make it look really nice so that they have a nice road into their residential area, and then their traffic doesn't come through your resort. And if they want to say, well, okay, well, then why shouldn't the West Linden people say, well, why should we, you know, okay, I'll throw that right back at them. You know, you want to look at options, we're looking at options. Whether it flies or not, I don't know. Are they're planning to put the grounds department in this area?
No, this lady said up here.
They're planning to put the grounds department up here only, not the whole maintenance facility. just the
Today.
Grounds department.
Today, that's their plan.
Yeah, they would have to rebuild a wood shop, they would have to rebuild the paint shop, they'd have to rebuild this complete warehouse and everything. But what they're thinking is if we can get the grounds department out of here, then we don't have that problem. What the grounds department is trying for is donate these 2 buildings right here to the fire department for a nice drill and put in a decent steel building so we can put everything under wraps. So whether they'll do any of this, who knows? But I understand exactly what you're saying. I wouldn't want to have to drive past this either. It's embarrassing. Okay, as an employee, this is embarrassing. But back to Grandview, I would say to them, okay, then give them this. Give them all that. Plant a bunch of trees in here, make it a long line of, okay, and the city can come in and perhaps dead end it down here so that the residents can have the option of going either way they want if they want to. But Grandview, no, change it. Okay?
John, where would their service entrance be? Because there's a huge wetland between the service road and the golf course. It's all pretty much wetland.
And if I want to say to you as a West Linden resident, why should you accept that plan? Then I guess what I would say as a West Linden resident to Grandview, that's your problem. Where do you want your service entrance to be?
Well,
Grandview also has property on the other side of off Lower Roy Lake Road, where they had the old golf course had their ground. They took the grounds over there. Absolutely, there's plenty of options for there. But if Grandview expects, or if Grandview wants to say, or give them this road, make it a nice road into their residence, for example. Because they're not going to.
You talking this?
Exactly, exactly. What I'm saying is options are options for both sides.
John, when you say that, you mean give it to the residents and
Well,
become a
it would
private
become-
road?
it would-
And
what
would
I
no
would say
longer
is
be a city
Grandview,
road?
That became West Linden Boulevard, it came down and connected into you guys. You didn't have to go through all that Grandview stuff, but you could. Grandview didn't put their city, or their housing up there. Grandview didn't put any of that up there. They escaped it so that there was trees growing and replant some trees and get it growing, so it's a nice kind of similar to eventually you're gonna have a nice long wooded trail or road to drive down. Would Grandview be willing to do that if they say no?
Yeah, but.
Oh, okay, but no, if they say no, well then, why should I, as a West Linden resident, do what you want me to? It works both ways. You know, if they want you to do something, then they have to. If they want us, the city, to display options to you as residents, then they need to listen to the residents' options to them. That's all I'm saying.
This option for me.
I got a couple more.
So, yeah, so
It's all right.
So,
To me, right now, the stack said this is the entrance, going through the garbage. What I'm hearing is the garbage is going somewhere else, probably up here. So why can't they, Grandview then, build an attractive road in this direction that comes out about where the working trucks are going in now? I know there's.
and that's a very fair question.
I know that the county doesn't want to put another road there, but this then keeps it out of this horrible problem here, that by the way, Grandview has created now, because if they had moved some of this stuff elsewhere, we could still use the entrance we've used for 50 years.
But,
Which is what we
that's what I'm
basically want.
saying, is that's a fair question to throw back to them.
Okay,
Like, it's
okay,
both
but-
back and forth dialogue.
But John, they have preempted the appropriate expansion of this area. I've talked to the Valancourt family, I've talked to the Lanners family, who reside in our area here. What do they say? We love to go through Grandview. We enjoy going through and seeing the weddings. We enjoy going through there. It's a nice, comfortable ride. They may not enjoy it now with a 60-room hotel there, and a lot of people in a year or two, but I personally don't mind going through Grandview. But let's assume
want it safer.
we're not going to be able to go this way, then let's go this way. Grandview should foot the bill. Make it a beautiful route for us to get out here. And I'm sure that that's easy for you to say and harder for them to do, but that is a solution.
I think at his point, when those discussions open up for that topic, just communicate it well.
Absolutely.
So you can have the right people come and attend and everyone, express their point. Next slide is just, well, questions is going to come. Go to the next slide. Good. One more. This is just the other day. This is just an example. Pictures say 1,000 words. So this is East Linden, north on Nokomis, confused truck traffic. He came down that upper left corner. He backed up towards that little parking lot by the Loon Cabin, which would be on the, if you're looking at Grand View from the lake, this would be on the right side. And then he took off and out he went. Even trucks get lost, right?
Could I add to that, just one little comment? The other day, now I live near Rod at the bottom of Dutchman's Bluff. We had a food semi, Upper Lakes Foods, in front of our house at the cul-de-sac, which, okay, I assume he's lost. He's missed a turn, something. He's going to turn around. He did not. He backed down West Linden. I don't know how far. I took a picture of him down 4 houses past me. He was cruising, backing the whole way down the road. Now, tell me that's not an issue.
We can't turn around.
He could have turned around at the cul-de-sac, but there was nowhere else. No,
Okay,
I
next
don't know.
slide is just, this is just East Linden uncontrolled parking example, I guess. This is a guy with a boat trailer. And he's probably staying down towards that parking lot area with the loon, and you know, it's hey, we're renting a cabin, come on up, and there's multiple cars. So we see this happen quite often, and it's usually around the weekend. It's not always during the week. Sometimes. Next slide is taken by a 14-year-old photographer, and this is with his mother trying to get home one night coming south on Nokomis towards East Linden, and you got the grad party type traffic, right, where one car parks and they just keep following, and this is just what we live in, and I think no parking signs and guest and event type parking education and guest or signage would eliminate this.
There's a lot of signage.
Pardon me? Well, sometimes it goes all the way down the hill and wraps around the corner. Yeah, this is real close to the Chocolate Ox area. The couple weekends ago when there was the sympathy in the Gull Haven, that was a bad night for traffic. That was a bad night.
Gulf
Yeah.
Center, you mean?
Yeah.
Gulf Center, not Gulf Haven.
But
They
Go
change
Lake
it?
Center.
TLC. And then the thing there, the concern is you have, I think they had it end at around 10, maybe 10:30. It was dark. You got people walking, and you got cars leaving to get out of there quickly, and it goes back to kids running and potential
It
accidents.
goes back to the shuttle vans that were supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's a year old now
Right.
too.
Clearly in all these, the signage is going to help tremendously, which was one of
Yeah.
the conditions.
Yeah.
That
Sounds to
the
me like
signage was already
we need a
supposed to have been out this
They
summer.
do put event parking signage, but people don't pay any
Well,
attention to
But
it.
there's not enough
Trucks,
parking in
semis,
the event
there's-
parking
yeah.
is the problem. I was at an event a couple
There's
weeks
not
ago
room.
on a Thursday night, and there was a concert across at the Pines, and there was an event at the Gull Lake Center. There was not enough parking for the event at the GLC, let alone overflow from the concert goers. There's just not enough parking.
What are their plans for parking lots? There again, it goes back to what we said earlier.
Well, and at one point, Mark mentioned he was going to put some parking by maintenance and use shuttle vans
For employees.
for employees, but that could be used as overflow for some of these events also, because there's not that many employees at the time that, in the evenings when some of these events are held. Your staff is not at full capacity.
That's a very unattractive parking.
I understand that, but a lot of the people that are attending some of these events are locals, and they don't expect, they're not paying 4-star resort rates to stay, they're just paying to go to this concert or whatever. And they're not ridiculously expensive. If they have to go back there, and maybe they can fix it up, clean it up, if you're gonna put a parking lot. But it's an option to park your car, get in the van, and get to the event without creating a disaster for the folks on East or West Linden to try to get out, or get an ambulance in if something horrible
Or a fire
happens.
truck.
I mean,
We have a new fire truck.
do we?
It won't
I
fit.
can't imagine
It won't
it's
fit
going
down the
on.
road.
Oh, believe me, they're firemen, it'll fit. Just a matter of how much damage.
That's
you know,
exactly right.
It goes on.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll fit.
I'm just curious, all of you are taxpayers? How many of you vote in this one?
We're not allowed.
No, we're not.
They don't,
I
they're
do.
not
We're
year-round.
seasonal residents.
I don't. Can we vote?
No,
No. You have
but
to-
we
only
can
vote
sure
one
pay a
place.
lot of taxes.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were.
We're not homestead.
I think so much of it just comes down to, first of all, thank you for listening. I mean, we've been trying very hard to work with Grandview. You know what? We get a lot of benefits from Grandview too. It has helped out, especially when the power goes off and, something like that. We've been trying to work with them, but they're not working with us. It's good faith. And, so just trying to get their attention, and let's open up this dialogue. But, Grandview / the city created this by approving, giving them all these permits before all of this was in place. And most developments in most cities would never have done this until all this was done. So, when y'all say, oh, we're looking at, no plans for roads or sidewalks or, or whatever, I mean, 5, years down the road, we don't have 5 years. And SPAC even said that on their presentation of what it's gonna be like. So some of this stuff, we like going through there. Just improve the signage, the pedestrian walkways. I don't think we need to, for parts of it, we don't need to enlarge
I think
all
one
of
thing
it.
that should be thought, creating a portion of the traffic.
Right.
Very, very tough. And if we are willing to do that, Grandview's problem is all of its own people. You can divert us or not divert us, it won't make any difference to Grandview's problem.
I agree with you. But what I think is, it's gonna give you guys a better entrance in and out.
We don't want another entrance.
Just hear me out, Once you guys have your way in and out that you like, then now they're forced to fix it. They're forced to come to the city, widen the road, widen themselves, do something.
How does that help the folks on Eastland?
Is blaming their problems on us.
No.
We're a tiny piece, and we're willing
They've
to
never said
drive
that.
through Grandview. Is that right?
They've never said that.
Well,
That we're,
How many people of you, how many of you are on Minnesota Power? Everybody? East and West of both. How many, cable? do you have? What's all on power lines?
We got
Everything's-
TV.
Everything's on it.
Because have any of you ever approached Minnesota Power or asked them about putting in utilities?
ours already
Ours
are.
are.
No, but I mean the main lines coming.
Yeah, I think part of it is
Because we can get utility, like gas line up.
costs,
But,
and then isn't the 50-foot roads, aren't those too narrow for them to
no,
put them in?
they could, they would have, they would have to go, if they're gonna put it off of the 50-foot right of way, then they would have to make contact with every single homeowner, and you would have to just basically give them a perpetual easement for that portion of the utility easement so that they can plow their stuff in. It just that then allows for walkways, bike paths, things of that nature, without having to, well, you've seen the one on Westland, having to go around the pole, and then the water drainage is another big one. So that opens up, and that's, I don't want to traffic.
I'm gonna stop you right there because you're opening up a can of worms that people are gonna, like, oh my God, they're gonna widen and take, our roads away or whatever.
the city-
I'm
the
just
city
saying,
can't
let's, basically you get past the maintenance unit, you get past the Grandview on each side of Linden, and you know what, we are perfectly fine with the way things are. Back to what I was just saying, it would just be nice as y'all's committee, planning and zoning, basically for the city, y'all created this in some ways. You help, let Grandview go ahead. So we're asking for your help to,
I think the biggest thing here is
be our champion. Help us get Grandview to meet with us, and let's try to all come together and work out the best solution.
We hold them accountable to at least do what they said they would do in the beginning when the permits were
This conditional thing, that
Allowed.
would solve
a lot of the problems.
so many of the problems without even having to do all this other stuff. So we just need y'all to help us.
And the next thing, you guys, you have to put you're required by law to have a 20-year plan, right? Comprehensive plan.
I don't know that it's.
We're working on a comprehensive plan, but if we're under a certain population, we're not required.
Oh, okay. But when you have an employer like that, and now this to make an agent, you should require them to say, hey, what the hell are you gonna do in the next 5 years? I mean, last year we started picking up all this stuff, basically innuendo, in the middle of the summer. And bingo, September shows up, fireworks go off, which coincides a lot of the residents start, not the exception, I go north, they go south, and then we just feel like we're getting railroaded.
Getting what?
Railroaded. But I mean, they should, you've got to be patient with them. I mean, they're gonna, and I've watched Mark Ronnie. He does the yada yada stuff. You, Peter, you've seen it. I think you've all seen it. That's Park staff. Don't buy it. Okay? Don't buy it. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, for the shuttles. The only shuttles I see are the ones that go to Pine River Stables once a week.
Well, they have shuttles. They have a van and they got a little bus thing. But it's shuttling from their other resorts to come to the Grandview Lodge area.
Well, I mean, that was supposed to help.
Yeah, more of those would help.
Fewer vehicles. Yeah, they're the same ones that take their international help.
I want to make one comment about the roads, east and west Linden. What I'm hearing is to protect the value of these residents having a dead-end road. That's what it is. We live on dead-end roads, and we like being able to walk the dog or let the grandkids try the bicycle for the first time, and that's what everybody wants to protect. When they don't want any change there, is what I'm sensing. Don't F with our dead-end road. And to change the road direction is difficult too, because we've had it for so long. And it's second and third generation type stuff, right? That's what's coming out.
Some of us have been here longer than Greenview.
All of this to do, residents living alone, we'll find our way through the traffic.
Right.
And moving us around won't work. We'll still be stuck with all of those people.
Make it safer, make it safer. And flow better. Safer, flow better. Yeah.
And dealing part,
And you're,
somehow, which is a big how.
But even for us, talking, unless we can't get to the road.
Well, that's just it, when you see the slides, like Craig put up, I mean, West Linden doesn't suffer like East Linden does, I don't think, going up
Not
to
down as far as we
They
are.
they have a real problem over there on that side. I mean, there are-
I'd rather sit in that.
East Linden has probably the biggest target of desired property to buy by Grandview. They do. That's the Anderson land.
Oh,
So it's in their best interest to make life miserable for them.
Well, today I stopped on the road. Tom Anderson wanted me to spread this comment. There's some humor in this, right? Big billboard, live gorillas to pet, trap shooting during the week, rifle shooting. Okay, it's joking, but I think you got a taste of what some of the opinions are and the passion. And as we said in the beginning, and people are talking more than just on the dock or at their dinner tables about this. And when you start talking about potential sensitive topics like where the road could go, or is there going to be more parking or other changes coming up? I don't know how the town hall meetings start, where you get a bunch of residents that want to speak their concerns, but I think when that time comes, you got to communicate it well in advance in case some people aren't up in the area. You got to fly into the area, because I think they would fly, right? If it was going to change something as passionate as roadways, they would come to express it. Have you had some entertaining town hall type meetings on any topics in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys go to training for that, don't you?
Guardrail issue. There's no road.
Compared to what you might see.
I certainly thank everyone for your comments. I hope that committee members have felt communication has been good. Certainly, let me know.
You guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself,
Yeah,
but I
yes.
want to make sure you know.
I
I think you've done really well letting us know what you know.
So just certainly.
One other question now, because there was a gentleman from the county here the last,
Yes.
and he made it clear to us outside that, roundabout was the way to go. But do they have any kind of time that they'd even be able to put a roundabout?
And those are certainly questions here as we, in my mind, we get the final report and then you really start saying, okay, county, Berwick County, do you like this idea? Are you on board with it? And then.
You gotta get them to do, you have to get them to do the initial engineering. And then they go through the whole approval process.
Do you have the listserv that I made for all the East and West Linden residents? There's a listserv where I like, it's got about 70 people on it.
But that's kind of what our thing.
But we don't, you guys don't send stuff out.
Yes, we do
Not-
too.
Well,
And their questions
every
came
time.
back.
Every time.
We send, whenever we have a meeting with these people and any conclusions are made or surveys are gonna go out, we've sent them to you. And so, and we will continue to do that.
Okay.
So you don't have to send it also, because then we're getting stuff back from other people that we've already, sent out to people.
But there was no notice before I sent it out about tonight's meeting.
Well, that's public information too.
Right, but I'm just saying, people don't remember that. They're up here for the summer. They don't remember. Who wants to come to a meeting?
Well, and that's
Nobody.
just it, because we sent out the information after the SPAC proposal, and then they sent all of this stuff out, and you said, here's the link.
Yep.
And you guys read it, because Dale, you responded
Yep.
to it, and
Rod.
Rod responded to it. Those are the two responses that we received
Well, we got a late one
from
from
those,
Scott.
we got
Yeah.
a late one. But we didn't hear a lot, and we didn't hear any questions from you saying, what are these pictures, this Boston stuff? If you had asked us, we would have been happy to explain, or
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, we're always
contact Debbie.
available, Alice, and so, and you know that because we're walking around. So, I can't answer all the questions, but, we're not going to keep people out of the loop. But but Dawn has the listserv.
Okay.
And so that stuff went out to everyone, and it will continue to do that.
Do you have something to do with planning and zoning? There.
In that I oversee it.
Well,
He runs
because
it down.
your planning and zoning meeting for August was on the first Tuesday of August, and it's normally on the second Tuesday.
Correct.
So there
Primary.
was no notice of that I saw. Apparently you put it in the Echo, and I don't get the Echo. And I went to look to see when it was, and I went, oh shoot, I missed it. So how does that information get to us?
Well, that was
On
an
our city
exception.
calendar, on our website, that will need to be, and our website is currently being redesigned, so we're very excited about that. But it is on our website, so you just have to take a look at a couple months ahead, but
But
Why did
then
they
you
switch it?
explained to me too that was,
Why did they switch
the
it?
primary election was that.
Primary
Oh,
election.
Okay.
it was legitimate reason.
The one that you can't vote in, you said.
Exactly.
So I assumed you were down in Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere
Well,
voting.
I live in Georgia, but no, we already had our primary in May.
You just
Where
said
to
we're
vote.
public works meetings that came down to the first Wednesday of every month.
Oh, okay.
Some change, we just.
So that'll be September
First
5th.
Wednesday of every month.
So first,
Walk up and
okay.
down with our public meetings that are here. And when the website, I know that was one of my biggest gripes, was it was useless, but it's not going to be when we're all done with it, but, you can, it doesn't matter if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, or
Georgia.
Spain. If you got a question, you can get on an email and let me know your comment.
Okay.
Eventually, a whole sheet, and then we end up with emails for all the council members. So, that's great. Council members with
I think that'd be
questions.
great.
Yes. So,
Thank y'all for
You gonna adjourn this thing?
Yes.
are we done? Is there anything else that anyone wants to?
Longest one ever. Thanks for
Okay.
coming.
Thank you all for coming.
Well, thanks for having us.
And take your concerns and.
So Craig, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice to
Alice.
meet you, Alice. Nice to meet you. You are? Sure.
Lynn?
Yeah, you got a better printer than I do.
Yeah, well, tiresome places, and once in a while,